Ready? Welcome to the Herfador Lounge. I'm Ray True Life. Today I'm here in Spring, Texas, in this beautiful art gallery, which also houses a cigar lounge, which we're currently sitting in. I have the pleasure of having a conversation and sitting with one of the owners of this amazing place. But not only is she the owner, she is the featured artist here, well, one of the featured artists behind these incredible works here. Known on Instagram as Smoking Artist, Miss Lizzy Maye.
Hello.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for accepting the invitation. And,
Absolutely.
The initial tour of this place is amazing. I really enjoy it.
Thank you.
I really love it. I like the flow of everything. So, first of all, how long have you been painting?
So painting, I would say consistently and truly as a painter for about 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
But drawing and doing sketches and stuff all my life, since I was 6.
Yeah, normally people started. Wait, you say you've been painting for 3 years?
Correct, yes.
And you produce the paintings that are here?
Yes.
That's amazing. That's natural talent.
Thank you.
That's amazing. That's
Thank
natural
you.
talent. So you say drawing was your first how you got into it. So did you?
Correct.
You went from drawing straight into paint, or was there another medium, or did you?
So drawing, I did some charcoal and I did some pencil,
Mm-hmm.
but mostly it was pencil drawings and stuff like that, just sketches, and not really dabbling too much into painting, except for when I was in college.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what was it that sparked your interest in art?
My father.
Oh,
Yeah, my
wow.
father, he was an artist, and he would do a lot of, he was indigenous, so he would do a lot of Native Americans.
Okay.
He did a lot of horses, indigenous people, gathering, just things like that. So that really got me into. It's funny because when I was younger, I always told myself, I'm never going to be a portrait artist. I'm going to be landscape. I can't stand doing people, this and this. And I grew up and became a portrait artist.
Bunch of people.
Bunch of people.
Paint a bunch
of people. Yeah, just looking at you. Exactly.
That's great. It's like it's a generational thing, and it gives you some sort of connection.
It does. It does. And I think it's great because you have the opportunity to capture almost that essence of that person through their eyes, through whatever it is.
That's one of the things in the portraits that I've done that I realize it's that the portrait doesn't have to be 100% perfect, but if you capture the essence, the eyes, you can capture somebody's. You can't capture their soul, but you can capture their soul.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the eyes, you can get their thoughts in the eyes, and when you do that, that's the first place people look in a portrait. And once you do that, it can pretty much just be eyes and the general shape.
Yep.
And people are going to understand and get it.
Correct.
So that's one of the things that I like about portraits. And I see that in all of the ones that I've seen that you've done that are here. I'm pretty sure there are a bunch that I haven't seen. The ones that I've seen, they're amazing and they're here. So as a fellow artist, I'm going to call myself an artist. As a fellow artist, I understand how creating makes artists feel. So talk about what keeps you motivated to continue to create pieces.
It's funny because I think it's just everyday life. I will see somebody take a selfie or see a picture of somebody, and the selfies that are not contrived are the ones that really get me. The ones where it's almost, without even knowing, without somebody really intentionally.
Yeah.
And capturing a moment of them in thought, or, just doing an everyday type of life, situation, whatever that may be.
Mhm.
Those are the things that really capture me, is everyday life. It's somebody hailing down a cab, or somebody wiping sweat off their brow, or you can see, I don't know if you saw my Kobe piece downstairs, and see the sweat off his brow, and he's chewing on the jersey. For me, that's not intentional. Somebody wasn't sitting there, looking glamorous and posing. It was
now put your jersey in your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. It was something, like if somebody rode down the street on a bike, and you kind of wonder what's going on in their mind, and you want to capture that moment. You'll never know, but you just capturing that moment gives you still a piece of them forever.
And that's one of the things about portraits, and like you said, those candid shots, the ones that aren't posed or set up, and the people just taking pictures, or you're taking a picture and somebody happens to be in the back. That's the picture, it's those are the greatest shots that I think to paint. I haven't painted as many, and I'm not nowhere near as good as you are, but the way that you capture, like you, even with that Kobe piece, like you say, you sit and you think, what was he thinking? But you can kind of say, I bet he was thinking about, and you can create an right.
Yeah,
right.
because I'm gonna kill him.
I'm 70 points.
Yeah,
whatever
I got
it was.
this. Yeah.
So every artist has a style, right? How would you describe your style?
Before, I would really try hard to do abstract. I always thought, okay, I'm going to be an abstract. Or I saw, Andy Warhol in his famous, tomato soup can, and try the whole pop art thing. And I really hated that I couldn't capture block art where it was just literally, it was super simplistic, but it was not. And I couldn't stand that. But I did know I liked color.
Mm-hmm.
So as I started painting, I started realizing that a lot of my heritage, being Latina, played into it. I love the color. I love the bright, florals. I love details. I just love things that speak to me and that are loud. So as I started painting more, I think I started incorporating color as one of my brands, people and detail. People always say that my artwork is very detailed, from the whisker that comes out of the guy's ear to the roll in the neck to the mole on somebody's face. I think for me, capturing that in the artwork itself tells a story of what they've been through in their life. It's like it's a badge earned.
Yeah. And you capture so much detail. Like I was looking at the Kobe piece, and the tattoos on his arm. You didn't just use like black paint and put the tattoos. It looks as if you tattooed it. It looks just like a tattoo instead of just throwing on black paint. And I think that when you capture that detail, it's like you say, you can see every badge of honor, every battle that somebody has gone through. And a lot of people, I'm not great at capturing detail. But a lot of people, when you see that adds so many more layers to the piece. So I've been on a long journey trying to find my signature style with painting. I've tried graphite and charcoal and watercolor and acrylic, and just trying to figure out what my style would be. I ain't found it yet. I'm still looking. So what was the journey like in finding your style?
I think, I wouldn't say everybody knows, but a good majority of people know how I started painting and discovering it. And I think it was, I don't know if you're going to ask this question, so I don't know if I should say it, but I'll just go with it.
And if I was, we'll just move on.
Okay. So the name of my cigar lounge and art gallery is called El Cuerpo Roto, the broken body. And there's a reason for it. There's two reasons. One is because about 3 years ago, I had a really bad accident. I broke both of my legs and I wasn't able to walk for months. And my husband brought me some sketchbooks and some acrylic pens. And he said, I hate seeing you so depressed. I mean, I had gained 80 pounds. I was laying in bed. I needed him and my son just to help me use the restroom. I mean, it was humiliating.
Right.
It was painful. It was frustrating. It was probably the most broken I've ever been, in addition to breaking my legs. And once you're broken to your core is when you can come back up again. So from there, when my husband gave me that, I was like, I can't go anywhere but up from here. So let me just start trying. Let me just start painting. And the big Biggie painting that you saw downstairs, I was pretty much in a wheelchair painting that. That thing is massive. It's almost, 2 feet by 2 feet. And I was like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to do it. It wasn't all right. And it wasn't, proportions weren't right. And there were things that were off. But for me to accomplish that, I thought to myself, if I could accomplish that in a wheelchair, I can only imagine what can I accomplish with all of my capabilities. So I just started, and I love the color because color made me happy. Yeah. Like I found myself wanting to keep pushing and wanting to do more, and color just, it's almost like the blood of life. Just all of these different colors for me are what became my signature piece and what became my trade. So right.
And yes, I was going to ask about that, the name. So
yes.
So since you brought it up, we can come back to the rest of them, but we'll skip to the name.
Yeah.
Can you say it again?
El cuerpo roto.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I was trying to figure it out and practice it at home. I'm like, you know what? I'm not. So
you can just say the broken body.
The broken body. So that's what it means. That's what that means.
ECR.
So when you were deciding, so first of all, what was it that made you decide to open up ECR?
So the art gallery has been something I've always wanted to do ever since I was a kid. I grew up in Los Angeles, in a real poor area of Los Angeles, in the hood, the barrio, we call it. My mom was a single mom raising 4 girls, and all of the influences in my life were my mom, my dad, and all my art teachers. I mean, I could name every art teacher from elementary, junior high, to high school. Wow. And I always told myself that if I ever make it, I don't know if you call this making it, but
I would call this making it.
Yeah.
I would call this making it.
If I ever made it, I wanted to open up an art gallery and give back to the community and showcase emerging artists that are students from specifically inner city schools. So that was the main goal, was to do that. And then my husband and I love smoking so much. We love cigars that I just thought, you know what? Why not incorporate a culture that has so much artistic influences? I mean, you have Cuba, you have all of these, the art of cigar making, you have all these beautiful, I don't know if they can see, but all these beautiful boxes here that people spend so much time putting their influence into. You have the labels, a lot of these emerging cigar brands that really pour their heart into it, and that's an art also. So I wanted to balance it with emerging artists in the art world and emerging cigar brands in the cigar world.
Okay, that's great, and you've done that masterfully. When we walked through it, like I was telling you earlier, just the forced flow, is extremely thought out and bringing you right up to the cigar lounge. And it's amazing. It's a great place.
Thank
it is
you.
An amazing place.
Thank you.
So what made you call it ECR?
ECR.
El Cuerpo Roto.
Perfect.
Close enough.
A lot of it was my husband. I had wanted to call it something else. I was going to call it 2217 because that's just Liz upside down in numbers. And I was like, okay. And he's like, no. He's like, why don't you think deep? What was it that, that pivotal moment in your life? And that was when I broke my legs. And again, like I mentioned, breaking the legs, but being so broken, you dig deep, and that's when you have probably your most best thoughts. And it helped to have drinks while I was doing it, so stimulate that frontal lobes. But my husband, and just thinking back when the most influential time in my art was, and it was in the last 3 years.
That's amazing. It's great to have such a deep name and has so much meaning into it, and it just means so much more.
It does.
It means so much more. Not only to have your art, great art, to be reaching back and bringing up other artists who may not know how to get in the gallery or where a gallery is. They just
100%.
love to paint, or love to draw. Doing all that, and then this amazing Cuba-esque cigar lounge. So let's flip a little bit. So on Instagram, your name is Smoking Artist. I know about the artist. So what was it that got you into cigars?
So, funny story. Oh my gosh. So when I was about, I'd say 17, I think I had seen somebody smoking a cigar and I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a badass. I'm going to try one. So I tried a Black and Mild. Yeah. Horrible. It was just like, and I apologize if people love they love Swisher Sweets, more power to you. Because for me, it was terrible. And I was just like, no, I don't like it. I remember it giving me a headache because the smell of it was just so sweetly intense.
Yeah.
Didn't like it. And I was like, no, this can't be what they like. So I ended up getting myself a Maduro. Didn't realize it was a Maduro. So, just a word to the wise, anybody their very first time smoking, don't ever smoke a really, really dark one. I smoked it and I tried to be a badass and just kept I think I got so sick, my stomach, I had a headache, and I remember liking that smell, like the smell that you get when you light the cigar that's in the air. I liked that, and I wanted to have more of that, and so that's what started me. And then I didn't continue again until much later in life when I started smoking with my husband, maybe about 8 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great story. A lot of people start with they just want to smoke something and they get the wrong one. Now, I don't know anybody whose first journey into the cigar world was a Black and Mild. But I mean,
there's a first, right?
that's the first. The first time I think I've ever heard that.
Yeah.
I know people who smoke Black and Milds and then let me get a cigar. Yeah. Black and Mild is where I'm going.
Hey, at 17, that was the cigar of choice that you could get the 7-Eleven. So
right, that or Swisher Sweets.
Swisher Sweets, yes.
Now I would have if you say Swisher Sweets, I say okay, at least it says cigar.
Yeah.
So before we get into the part that I call the work, right? I want to know where can people find the Smoking Artist and El Cuerpo Roto. Did I roll the R on that?
Yes, you were good. That was good. So we're located physically in Spring, Texas. It's Old Town Spring specifically of Texas, and online at cuerporoto.com, and on Instagram, Smoking Artist, and also El Cuerpo Roto. So it's the pages are attached to each other, but smoking it's smoke_N_artist for Instagram, and then El Cuerpo Roto is same EL_CUERPO_ROTO at Instagram.
And you do commission artwork and things like that?
I do, yes. I do commissioned artwork. I don't do landscapes, so don't ask me for landscapes. I don't do that.
All people.
All people, yes. Or several people.
Right. So, now we're into the section that I like to call the work. So talk about some of the sacrifices you've had to make and the obstacles that you've had to face in pursuit of building and growing and starting and building and growing your art in your art journey and El Cuerpo Roto.
Sure. I think we sacrifice without knowing that we're making sacrifices, if that makes sense. We build on a dream before that dream even has a plan. We have an idea, we have these hopes, and we hope that we're maintaining the lifestyle to get us into that position. So I would say definitely when I first met my husband helped me out a lot. I was a single mom raising my son, and my husband always was there like, hey, let me help you take care of your son while you work this shift. And so I used to work for FedEx, Kinko's, and I would take a lot of double shifts. I would cover 2 different stores. They were open 24 hours in Los Angeles. So I would do a lot, and he was very supportive as I grew and grew, moved up in my career, saved money, move up in my career, save money, to the point where I found myself gone 3 weeks out of the month working for a big corporation. I mean, they moved us, our family, all the way to Chuckmuckatuck, Ohio. I mean, it was like we were shoveling snow in the middle of...
That's the name of the place?
No, it was Mason, Ohio. But I'm just...
Because when I was talking to your husband earlier, I said Cleveland. He said, no, it's about an hour from Cleveland.
Yeah,
but he didn't say the name, so I'm thinking,
it was
that's
Cincinnati.
The name.
No, Cincinnati. I said Chuckmuckatuck because it was in the middle of nowhere. So we were out there, like, literally don't get me wrong, Ohio is beautiful. I mean, when I think of jingle bells, or when I think of, fall, that is exactly what it looks like. You have the hills, you have the red farms, you have the horses, that's it right there. But other than that, there's nothing to do. I mean, unless you're in Sandusky going to the amusement park, I don't know, there's nothing to do, or watching a Cleveland game.
Right.
So it really took us to different areas. Taking my father in, he was really, really sick, and my husband really helping me with that. I mean, and my husband taking care of my father while I was working, then my company moving us to Texas, my father passing away here, me being gone, missing my son's football games, missing every little piece of life to just climb the corporate ladder. If I can just get a little bit more money, put us in a better position, and save up. And you start asking yourself, what am I doing? What am I missing? What's the collateral damage that I have here to make that more money? And realizing that I don't want this. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have that anymore. So I stepped back. My father eventually died, and my son, grades started kind of slipping a little bit, and I'm like, okay. And then, our marriage, I remember my husband asking, do you have to work so much? Do you have to do so much? And I stepped back and I was like, I don't. It's not, I'm not going to do this at the cost of losing everything.
Right.
So I stepped back, and that's when I realized that, okay, I need to change the priorities. I need to reposition. And we moved to Houston. And when we moved to Houston, it's like everything got better. It was hard, but everything got better. And it's almost like simplicity makes you really look at things differently.
Yeah, so. It really does. And sometimes going through so many different things, it's all to get you to a certain place. And in listening to your story, I feel like it was to get you here, to be right here, to have El Cuerpo Roto. Ha ha!
Hey, you did it.
I feel like that all of that was to get you here, because if you didn't go through all of that, you wouldn't be here.
Right.
And those are some of the things that I know. I say a lot. You have to appreciate the journey, embrace the journey, because you don't know you're in the journey until you get to the end of it.
Absolutely.
Or close enough.
Yep.
Then you're like, oh, okay. Well,
that's why that happened,
right,
and that's why that needed to happen. Yeah.
But really, just appreciate the moment that you're in right now. Appreciate that, because it's leading to something more.
Right.
So was there a time when you ever wanted to quit?
Yeah, absolutely. You always ask yourself. I was telling my husband the other day, like, you start a piece, I would say quit. So when I broke my legs, yes, I wanted to give up. But every time I start a piece, something happens to me where this fuzz goes over, and it's like, oh shit. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm
That's fine.
Okay, I was like,
that's fine.
This
streaming network, we can say what we want.
I ask myself, am I doing this right? Do I know what I'm doing? And I always second guess myself, and it's almost like I go into the infancy stage, and then I catch a rhythm, and I'm like, oh yeah, I am the shit. Yeah. I'm good. But it's like you always check every time you start something new. You're a novice, always, and it's so important to embrace that moment. It's important to embrace the not knowing and the almost giving up, because that other side of the spectrum is so fulfilling. Yeah. Once you get right past, I feel like I need to quit. Like you say, it's everything opens up, and it's like, oh, well, why was I thinking about quitting? Look where I'm at. Yes.
And you have to. They like to say breakthrough. I call it push through, because you got to push through it, because breaking through means it's a wall there.
Right.
Push through to me means it's a fuzz. And you see the fuzz.
Yes.
But you just go through the
Yes,
fuzz.
that's
and
what it
right on
is.
the other side is everything you can see clearer now.
It's that blurry moment where you just
Exactly.
kind of question, like, I can only make out this much. And like, I don't know if I can do this.
Exactly. And that's one of the reasons why I like doing this show, because there may be somebody who's in that fuzz and they're like, well, it's foggy, I'm not trying to go through there. But then they start hearing, no, go through it.
Mm-hmm.
It's greatness right on the other side of that fog.
They're so close. Sometimes people don't even realize how close they are. Like that saying, so close yet so far. When you think that you're far away, literally, if you just put your hand through it, you're right there.
You can touch it.
Right there.
You can touch it.
Just a little more.
So what has been the best part of your journey?
God, that's a broad question. I would say probably all of the discovering who you are, the uncovering all the uncomfortable moments to realize that, this is who you're maturing to be. And then I think hearing the people that have been there from the get-go, turning around and saying, I'm so proud of you. You've grown so much, or this, or even the simple text messages I get from my husband. I'll say, I'm really proud of what you've done. I remember XYZ, and look at where we are now. That is like the moment where so many people, we don't step back and we don't look at where we were, or even write down our goals from like 5 years ago and reread it and like, oh shit, I really did come far.
Right.
And it's all of those accomplishments that you've done. They seem like step by step by step, but when you look back on it, that's been yards and miles and stuff that you've grown.
Yeah. So you said something. You said when you're discovering who you are, and I feel like a lot of people don't know. They might be doing great things, but they don't yet know exactly who they are. So talk a little bit about that moment when you realized this is who I am.
I would say probably, and no cap on anybody in their early years, but I'd say you get to a certain age. I'm heading towards 50. You get to an age where you don't give a shit anymore, where you just don't care, and either somebody's going to roll with you or they're going to roll away.
Right.
And I think it's when I hit my 40s and I started loving me, my wrinkles, my rolls, my, the way I dress, my quirky behavior. I realized that this is who I am. And I love who I am. And I love the mistakes, that I make. And I love learning from my mistakes. And I love that I reinvent myself. And there are times where I know that I don't speak Spanish fluently, but I embrace the culture anyway. I embrace what I have, and I love that I do that. I mean, you can even ask my son. He'll tell you that when I'm cooking dinner, I'll put Latin music on and I'm sitting there in the kitchen dancing. And I love that part of me. And that influences him in some way, or influences my husband in some way. And I wouldn't change that for the world. And I love the fact that as we grow older, we are constantly always learning, always reinventing ourselves, always discovering a portion or side of us that we never knew existed, or that we ever even liked, until we just even tried it.
Yeah. Once you get to that point, once you start to, like you say, love yourself, and flaws and all.
Yep.
You love yourself regardless of anything else, then you get to that point, and that's an amazing place to be. I'm working on it. I'm getting there. But that's an amazing place to be. So what are two of your most important principles?
Oof.
Good question, huh?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I'd say loyalty, because I think it's important to recognize your posse, the people that have always been with you, but not just that, loyalty to yourself. I think it's so important to be true to yourself and not have this show or have this facade put on to try to get into certain arenas or get into certain areas. Yeah, it's good to network, but don't change who you are to be a part of a crowd that you knew you wouldn't even fit in comfortably with anyway. So I would say definitely loyalty and truth to yourself. Another one is hard work. You can cut it either way you want to cut it, whatever. You will, if something's worth having, you're always going to put hard work into it, no matter what. I mean, whether it's cooking a dish, whether it's a relationship, whether it's an art piece, whether, it's your car. If it's worth having, you're going to put in the work.
Right.
And if you work hard now, it'll be easier later. It's easy now, it's going to be much harder later.
Right. Definitely. And loyalty, that's one of the things about loyalty, especially like you said, to your posse. I love that word. The people that have been your day ones, the people who've been there with you, who are pushing you from the get-go.
Yep.
They push you to heights where you didn't know you could go. And
you wouldn't even get to that height without them underneath you pushing you up.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the hard work is, as you're working, it's gonna become easy. But if you're not working hard at whatever it is that you want, you're never going to get it. And if you do get it, not working hard, you're not going to appreciate it. And I think those are two amazing principles.
Thank you.
So what advice would you give to anyone, first of all, who may be a new artist, a budding artist, or an artist who has done a million pieces, but they can't quite get through the fog or get over that hump of I'm me?
I would say, if you drink, sit down, have a drink, listen to some music, and try something new, something that you've never done before, and just be okay with how shitty it comes out. Mm-hmm. Be okay with the mess ups. And if you don't drink, I would say take a walk, go look at life, just because the true art in beauty is life itself. I know that sounds so like Hallmark, cliche Hallmark, but it's so true. I mean, if we just sat down, took our eyes off of our hands and our phones for a moment, and we sat at a bus stop, or if we sat on a park bench and looked at life, we would see how much beauty and how much things pass us by, and where we get inspired. I mean, I get inspired by just the random stuff in life. So I would say just stop and just go back to ground zero of really simplicity, just to your unknown, your basics, and just start from there. Just try, just keep trying something new.
Right. Amazing. Great, because trying something new, again, will force you to work hard. Mm-hmm. And once you get comfortable, I always say comfort is the death of dreams. Because 100%. Once you're comfortable, you're no longer dreaming.
Right.
And I experience it every day. I go to work because I still work a regular job. So I go to work, and once I get comfortable at work, something happens to say, you're not supposed to be here. Mm-hmm. This is temporary, and once you become comfortable with being uncomfortable, even if it's all I do is I want to be a landscape artist, but then you do a portrait and you're like, oh, okay. Or like with me, I want to do tattoos. I'm not comfortable doing tattoos, but then you do it and it's like, oh, once you become comfortable with that uncomfortability, then you immerse yourself in it and you learn all the nuances to that whatever it is, whatever that thing is.
Yep.
So what advice would you give to someone who is thinking about opening up an art gallery?
Don't do it. No, I'm just kidding.
not close to this one.
No. I would say first figure out, one is you have to have a passion, because for me, it's something that you can ask my husband. I mean, I probably talk about it all the time, but you have to have a passion for it, and you have to know that you're not doing it for the money. Mm-hmm. You're not doing it because to sell the work. I mean, unless you're Jay-Z and his whole, 444, where he talk about, his art piece buying it for $1 million, now it's $10 million. Yeah. We don't all have that cash. So knowing that you're going in and purely, honestly, just to help people grow their art base, you have to have a true love for art. Unless you're an art director or something like that, you're probably not going to make money doing it. And that's probably another reason why we did the cigar lounge. You'd have to have a love for it. There has to be something else that you really, another agenda. And then 2 would be location. I think location really matters. You can't do it out in the sticks because nobody's going to come out there. You want to do it in a place where there's going to get some foot traffic, and you have to be okay and have some money saved up to know that something may not catch the first couple months, and that's okay. But really understand marketing, understand, your videographers, your cinematographers, these people, really connect with them and build a community for them to be there and help take pictures for you, help share that social media, get with a group of people, get with, network, and use social media as much as you can. I mean, I post at least twice a day, every day, to just get myself out there. So that way, when the day comes to when I open, I'm hoping at least one person will show up, and it's my husband. So.
Well, I'm going to be here on opening day.
Thank you.
I promise you that. Because I got to get one of your pieces.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna put it in my little home lounge.
Thank you.
So since it's 3 businesses, so what advice would you give to someone who is looking to open a cigar lounge?
Get your paperwork done. I would say definitely get your paperwork done, because that's been my Achilles heel, especially with the whole federal government thing that's happening right now, where people are getting furloughed. I put my paperwork in. I got it sent back to me because I messed up something. Now I have to go back. I'm still waiting for my certificate for my tobacco license. So I would say get all of those affairs in order. Save all of your receipts. Make sure you're saving your receipts. Really, the administrative end of it, the uncomfortable, yucky side of things, that's a side that you really need to be focused on, because it's easy to put up a cigar box. It's easy to paint a mural. It's easy to make, a place look beautiful and to decorate. That stuff is easy. The hard part is the stuff that's behind the scenes. Just like when you watch those HGTVs and they have to put, a new beam in that's not, for view, and it costs $5,000.
Yeah.
100%. That's the part that you don't see, or the part that the public doesn't see, is the part that actually is the foundation and means the most in your business.
Wow. Yeah, definitely get those are the things that people don't talk about. When you ask, most of the time, hey, what would you say to somebody who wants to open up whatever it is? Oh, know the business. Oh, you gotta know your industry. No, you got to get that administrative stuff down.
Just the basics.
Because if you don't get that administrative stuff down, what you got? A couple of months and then it's over.
I was gonna say, you won't even be in the business.
Right. So. A couple of months and then of being a pirate, and then it's over for you.
Exactly.
So what's next first of all, what's next for Smoking Artists?
Hopefully, something in the art world. As far as one of the big things I think I mentioned earlier was when I started doing the gallery, my goal was to work with the inner city schools. So I really, really am hoping that I can work with some of the up and coming continuation schools. So these are the kids that have either been into drugs, got pregnant early, do street art, whatever it is. It's really working with those teens, students, children, whatever, to show them. I grew up in the hood. I came from, a single family home. My mom, we had powdered eggs and powdered milk and it was tortillas, beans, and eggs. That's all we could eat for breakfast, lunch, and sometimes dinner. So it really can happen. And I am totally here. I really, my goal is to showcase emerging artists and emerging cigar brands, the mom and pops of the cigar world that really want to get out there, the people that want their, name just in some type of place. I'm here for that. I am all about love and helping, because I know what I struggled with, and I tried so hard to get into a show, tried so hard to get into a gallery, tried so hard to submit my work. I paid the $45, I paid the $100, I paid the $15 per piece, and no one gave me a chance. I said, fuck it, if I can't get to this place, I'm going to make that place come to me. And so that's where me and my husband built this place together, and we created it. And I'm hoping that it's successful.
Yeah.
And if it's not, I'm gonna keep doing it until it does.
It's definitely gonna be successful because you got the right fuck it. The fuck it, I'm gonna do it myself.
Yep.
Instead of the fuck it, I quit.
Yep.
You know, a lot of people say fuck it and they quit. You got to say fuck it and I'll do it myself.
Yep.
You know, like Thanos. They couldn't get him them Infinity Stones. He said, fine, I'll do it myself.
Yep.
And he won.
Yep.
I mean, they killed him after, but he won. But still in all, you got to say fuck it and go for it.
100%.
And once you go for it, you can make it. And if you have the passion for it, your success is different than their success.
100%.
You
oh
know?
My God, you hit the nail on the head with that one. That is probably one of the hardest things as an artist is comparing yourself to somebody else. Oh my
man.
God.
I've done that so much.
And there's so many times you're just like, okay, and it's just not in art, it's in everything.
Yeah.
Like we put on an outfit and we think it looks good. We walk outside and we see somebody else that's beautiful that has this outfit. You're like, oh my God, I look horrible. Like you second guess yourself all the time.
Yeah.
As an artist, I think I look great. My husband and my son are just like, oh, that's so amazing. And then I go to a museum and I see this other piece and I'm like, oh, okay, I know why I'm not in here now. And it's like, no, that's not true. Like,
right.
You are the benchmark for your story. And that's all you need to know. Everybody else, yeah, they may give you an idea. They may influence your ideas. They may influence your style. They may influence the way that you move, the way you dress, the way you sway. But they are not the author of your story.
Exactly.
And you can't allow them to be your writer. You have to say, okay, I take an idea, but I'm going to write it my way. I'm going to paint it my way. I'm going to roll my way. I'm going to dance my way. And you've got to be loyal to yourself and confident in yourself to say, I'm just going to keep going.
Right. You speaking to me right now because in my art journey, I compare my art to people all the time. But then I see no shade at all.
Yeah.
But I see what was it? Van Gogh's sketches go for millions, and I'm like, ain't nothing wrong with what I do, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But also there's a market for it.
100%.
There's a market for each and every one of you who's an artist. There's a market for you to put a line on the paper. There's a market for portraits. There's a market for drawing flowers. You know, people want all different types of things, and that comparison can kill you.
100%.
That comparison can kill you. Well, Lizzy, I thank you. This has been an amazing conversation. Can we get a tour of the place?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, please do.
Let's do that. Let's get a tour. Yeah.
So this was one of my first pieces that I made. You can see the progression of the work from very simple, not detailed, just starting out. This is me smoking a cigar. This was a lot more detailed. This is my grandfather. It's a picture. Again, this was one of those things I mentioned about everyday life. He was just drinking a cup of coffee and posing for a picture. Some of these are some of the pieces that I did as well. Tried different mediums. We had talked about trying new styles. This one's on birchwood. I'd never painted on birchwood before, but I love the way the paint holds birchwood. This was probably one of my most popular and most loved pieces.
I've seen that one.
Yeah, this is Libertad or La Vida del Cigarro. It's a cigar life. And if people know about women in Cuba and their cigars, this is women liberation. Basically, she's saying, fuck it, I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna smoke a cigar and I'm not gonna work for you anymore.
Right.
And then as you progress down, it's just some of the other cigar arts and other artwork that I've done. my favorite pieces right here. These two. This one is Compay. He was a singer, and talk about not pushing in life. So he became really famous when he was 90 years old, and he died at 96.
Wow.
So he did a very short run, but he sings some of this music that's just amazing. Chan Chan, a lot of the things you probably heard before. He was in a group, and he was, in a group for a while, but he really hit his, high point when he was in his 90s. This one, and then when I talk about detail, you can see the detail here. This is a cubano. You can see the detail in the skin. You can see the rot in his teeth, the lines on his lip, the hair coming out of his ears.
Yeah. That's amazing. Amazing detail.
And that's the Godfather, but I had the cigar in his hand because he didn't have one before. He had a cat. So I wanted to do it with a cigar.
You gotta give him a cigar.
Yeah.
And that's the one you said that you painted?
This is the one I painted, yeah, when I was having a wheelchair. I was like, let me just try something.
And that's what came out.
Yep. And this is mixed media because it's got gold foil in here. It's got gold foil in his necklace.
Wow.
We tried this different stuff. And that one is Sylvester Stallone, and it's called Private Smoke because Sylvester Stallone is very private about his life. He doesn't talk a whole lot about his smoking or his life. And then I'm sure we all know who that is.
Yeah. Nipsey.
Yep. Well, this was fun. Thank you. I really, really enjoy this.
I'm definitely going to be making the hour drive a lot more.
Well, I appreciate that.
I love the feel of this place. Even when I walk on the balcony, it feels like I'm no longer in Houston. I feel like when you walk through that front door into the gallery area, you're transported. I feel like down there right now, it's all your art, but I'm transported into your mind. And then as I come up here, I'm transported into your mind in Cuba. And I love the uniqueness of this place.
Thank you.
I've been to a lot of cigar lounges, and this one has a uniqueness that I have not found in Houston.
Thank you.